and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening in. This is the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling Podcast and your host, Mr. Green. And we are back. It's another week, another episode of WOW in the books. We are still relatively fresh in this reboot. Well, maybe reboot's not the right word. Sorry, let me retract that. We are still relatively fresh in this season of WOW. The reboot already happened 2 seasons ago, but we're here and they are cooking along. As we've already noticed, new set, new location, new wrestlers, I guess, if we want to classify them as such. However, that's a moot point. We are going to take a look at the episode in question here and give a review of all the things that took place in this episode, well, the good, bad, and the ugly. Although, I have to say, at least so far, now I can already feel if this season of WOW was a blanket or a quilt or whatever, something with fabric in it, I could start feeling the edges of which unraveling. It might not be too late as of yet, but we are going to stay tuned and see if the string gets pulled further and the quilt pulls itself apart, or maybe it'll be tightened back up and it'll look like a beautiful masterpiece. I don't know. Time will tell. All of the angles that they have begun with are relatively at the start and the stages of infancy, but it is also my concern. WOW tends to have a difficult time, in my opinion, with follow-up. It is very rarely just the match singularly which causes a problem. It's a lot of why did this happen? Where did this come from? That didn't make any sense, or at least it doesn't speak well of this person that they did X, whatever X happens to be in this scenario. I mean, you don't have to go any further. Look back at Americana's angle with them busting their son's tablet and breaking Jesse's leg, wink, nod. You don't have to look any further than that, or Princess Aussie going to ask her friend that she ignored for a month and a half for help, or Ariel Scott groveling to somebody that beat her up on television for, please take me back. So, like I said, sometimes the picture looks good. It just starts to unravel the further out it goes. But we will see how that works out this season. And as such, we are going to go right into the review of the episode here. This episode is going to be episode 304. The title of this episode is Jesse's World. The air date, October the 6th. The chronological number, which is what I go off of, is 108. So this is the 108th episode of WOW. And as much as I give a hard time to them from time to time, it should be noted that they deserve some credit for making it this far. In the history of WOW's existence, whatever incarnation of it that you may be familiar with, they have never gone this far for this long at any given time. Then, first off, they would take these hiatuses, and it was almost like a sure sign of a problem was about to happen, and it did. So I don't know if somebody in that office got smartened up. I don't know if somebody in that office was told by one of the wrestlers. I don't know if somebody in that office heard me say it multiple times over the years on the podcast or varying versions of it thereof. But not going into a hiatus is probably the single smartest decision that was made for the show up until this point. That might be the single biggest decision. So anyhow, let's get into the episode. We are going to skip past the news and views and updates because there's not a lot of stuff that's going on there that's worth going into. It's just following up on angles. Like there's no real major news source or story, I should say, that exists right now. At least none that I'm aware of. So we will get past that. I'm sure that anything else that comes up in my mind about other women's wrestling programs or divisions, be that TNA, WWE, NXT, and the like, I will bring it up as it crosses my mind if that happens. But in the meanwhile, let's get into the meat of the show. So, as it does, the show opens up with McLane says that he talked to the Beast and that she needs more time. Okay, that's fine. Is this a repeat? It feels like we've gone through the Beast injury angle thing already. I mean, the first time that she got hurt, it was legitimate. Then they put the hat on the hat when she came back that episode. Remember that? I'm the Beast, and here's my crutches, David. I'm ready to wrestle. And then by the end of the episode, she was injured again, which was just beyond stupid why they did that. That didn't make any kind of sense. But so we've had an injury angle with the Beast. So she's got clobbered in the ankle, then she gets clobbered with a lead pipe in the leg, and now she's clobbered over the top of the head with a bottle and clobbered over the top of the head with her belt. So, I mean, maybe this ain't the thing for you. Maybe this is not the line of work for you. Or maybe you need some friends. Possibly that could help. So, this is McLane saying, talk to her. She's doing well and, all that good stuff. And she's not rich. She needs more time. That's acceptable. I mean, I would have liked for her to look, just record it and send it in or something like that. I would have liked to have heard it from her. But that's a moot point and a matter of decision. My decision would be get a microphone there and a camera so she can say how she's ready to come back and bust somebody over the head with a bottle of her own or her two fists or whatever and get even. But, WOW's not about getting even. It's just about winning the match. So as this is going on, Jessie Jones comes out. She interrupts. She says that you don't know why I'm out here. But then McLane immediately jumps to, I got the money and I want the information. So apparently he did know why she was out there. I don't know what that was even about. It's like, what? He didn't waste any time. It's not like he said, I don't know why you're out here. It just went right to, I got the money. I want the information. I was like, okay, did y'all have this conversation before she came out? What? I don't know. So long story short, because the segment is, as much as I love me some Jessie Jones, and I think that she does a phenomenal job in the ring, the segment was essentially her coming out there striking a deal. Now, I do understand that WOW exists in its own realm of logic, and I cannot apply real world logic too much to these situations. However, I already questioned, like, why he jumped directly into, well, I don't have a choice. I got to offer up this reward. Because that doesn't feel like the most efficient way to get information. Never mind the fact that when it happened at the Belasco a season ago, it was just a simple matter of, all right, well, we'll get the security footage, even though it took them like 3 months to do that, to find out who attacked her. And even then, it wasn't WOW that did it. It was Sophia Lopez who provided her the footage on the flash drive. How she got that, I don't know. And it was never followed up on that past that. She's like, you owe me a favor. And then we never heard from it again. So now, rather than to use simple things or logical things like questioning people and interrogating, maybe hiring an investigator or calling the cops or getting security footage or asking the locker room, did you see anything suspicious? Possibly suspending some people till you got some information. Nope, right into, hey, I'm offering money. So she says that basically her excuse as to why it wouldn't be her is that I wouldn't waste a good bottle of liquor. I was like, all right. And then they just immediately agreed. It's like, yep, I know that's right. I was like, I don't know how stupid you could be, but both commentators in this regard was stupid. And I hate saying that about Nigel's name because I like Nigel. But both commentators in this regard was stupid. So they're like, yep. So why would she, who wants a title shot against the Beast and wants the belt have her clocked over the head with a bottle of whiskey? I mean, it's not like we can't go out and buy another one. I mean, God. Anyhow, all right. So she wants to strike a deal and essentially tells him, if you want any more information, you need to talk to me. That's not the exact words, but, that's what we're getting from that. The next segment, Zayn billboards the main event for the tag championship match at the end of the show, which is Princess Aussie and Tormenta versus Miami Sweet Heat. It's a goddamn shame that the All-American girls just gave up their title shot the way that they did and allowed another team just to pop up in this place. Well, another sign of stupidity on display. Next segment. The vanity belts are for up to be challenged for. For those who don't know what the vanity belts are, it's trios titles. So Top Tier comes out and they're taking on Keta Rush and the Mighty Mites. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. We're going to slam some people together just so we can accommodate this division. And that's where we are. The sad part is I like almost every person involved in this. I like Keta Rush, even though she hasn't done much of anything. She doesn't cut any promos. She hasn't been in any significant angles. She doesn't really, do anything of note in a while. The Mighty Mites seem like they're just there to provide extra bodies to get beat. Top Tier is clearly somebody's pet project and ready to just make them happy. That's why I call them vanity belts. It's like, rather than have them do something significant like help elevate the actual tag team titles that WoW has, let's create this secondary set of tag team championships for nothing. Because it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to drive any extra viewership. It's not going to, mean anything as far as making the tag titles actually mean something worthwhile by having an additional team go after it or hold it, or anything like that. No, let's just create another one. So therefore, it's unlikely that Top Tier will cross paths with Miami Sweet Heat or anybody else until Miami Sweet Heat and Penelope Pink decide to take the belts off of them. Because let's be honest, Fab Four is probably going to be the more higher regarded team in this particular equation. Although I would like to see how they would pull that off. So if they try to do it. So anyhow. So what we have here is Keta Rush and the Mites. All relatively about the same size, even though Rush doesn't wrestle in the same vein as the Mites do. And like I said, it pains me because I like almost everybody involved here. I really do. But I just cannot get behind these belts. I just can't. They just come off as such a waste of time and such a, well, I can't say it any different. They just come off like vanity belts. We need you to have something, and y'all talked about it enough out in the public eye, so let's just make some. So let's get to the match. It starts off with Spice and Candy Crush. Crush is doing much better. She seems to be just moving along, and I do like her far better as a heel than I do as a babyface. And hopefully, if she ever goes back to being babyface, then she would have taking some of these tools that she has off of being a heel and reapply it the other way around. When she starts off the match, she starts off with just a great look of arrogance. Looks like this is wasting my time. Kind of like, that before they even lock up, she just gives Spice like a little kick in the guts before she can tie up. I was like, that's great. It does not have to be some tie up all the time. She then hoists her off into the corner, and then she's like, look at what's she going to do against me? And then Spice comes rushing out of the corner with a hurricanrana. It is every reason that I do like the Mites, and I wish that they would do something else. I fully believe that they're wasting their potential in WoW, because I don't know if they're ever going to get a shot at the championships other than just to be there to lose. So Spice, starts going through her offense on Candy Crush, tags out the Sugar, and then they get their double team offense in, a double drop toe hold. And then they do their splash or cartwheel splashes into Candy Crush. Good stuff. The camera work is like every week I start seeing this and it bothers me. There's been a couple of times I've said that, it's not the matches, the thing around the matches. That, I've officially made my decision about that close-up cam that they use that looks like it's under a different frame rate. I don't like this camera. It almost always makes stuff that you need to see out of frame, so you can't adjust to it. You can't get a feel for what's happening. When Sugar does her cartwheel splash, she goes for the cover. But all you see is Sugar on top of Crush. You don't see the referee, so you don't know how close he is to the count or not. Now, that's not to say that you won't get the idea just because of the commentary, but, bear in mind, there might be people out there who are not necessarily listening to the commentary, or the volume might be down, or they just want to see the match. There is an element of visual component that should be there, and I understand you're going to miss stuff on occasion. That's going to happen. The only reason this bothers me with them now is because it happens every week. Every week that camera is used, and every week it cuts off something that you should be seeing to know what's going on. And this is just another example of it. Is it enough? Is it a deal breaker for you to watch the show? Probably not. But it's become this annoyance for me. So anyhow, Crush manages to get herself out of the ring, goes off and tags Campanelli. Campanelli does look better as well. I have to give her that. I like the black and gold outfits. I forgot to mention that before. Campanelli is one of the few people in WoW's history who seems to have grown a bit. The original version of Coach Campanelli was like a superficial, obnoxious person who thought they were better than what they actually were. The vignettes pretty much solidified that. They did I can only really refer to it as the Mr. Perfect vignettes, when he would do all these sporting events, but he would do it, of course, perfectly, right? That was his whole gimmick. I bowl the perfect game. I turn around and toss the basket up, goes right there, nothing but net. I throw the football across the field, I catch it myself. Those things, for those who aren't familiar. Campanelli had those vignettes, but in hers, she was failing at everything, but she did not notice that she was failing. Like, she would do the basketball, toss it over her shoulder, and it wouldn't miss. And, it wouldn't make it, it would miss. And things like that. But they have gone less into her having to be an out-and-out legitimate coach. I mean, yes, they do keep the elements of that, but she's not pushing this narrative of, at least not as badly as she was. Before, it was bad. So elements of it still exist, but she's not nearly as much. I think the top tier was good for her. She was okay. before now, but she was never a full-on babyface. She was an obnoxious babyface. And I said as much. Like, how's this woman a babyface here? But she's gotten to where she needs to be. Didn't do that much when she tagged in. She took a couple of bumps, arm dragged a bit, shot off into the ropes after the babyfaces made the tag, and she catches herself on the ropes so that she does not rebound into the waiting arms of Keta Rush and Sugar. Or at least I assume as such, because it also was that close-up shot. So I have no idea what they were doing on the other side of the ring. I just know that they were the last people in it. Glitter did like most of the work because after Campanelli hung on, Glitter tags herself in. Glitter is, for those who aren't aware of her on the Independence, Delilah Doom. And she is very well trained and accomplished. It's not, I don't know if I'll say a complaint. How would I classify it? The only thing that I saw that really did not look well on TV was when she gets in. After she takes the drop kick, she pretty much posts herself up to get Keta Rush and her Hurricanrana. And you can see it coming a mile away just for the way that Glitter's standing. Aside from that, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the match. I mean, like I said, sometimes the camera can be your friend, but sometimes it'll work against you. Now, I'm in the arena, it might not look as bad. But having a close-up shot of her standing there with her arms ready and waiting to pick Rush up, it didn't look well there. And I'll only say there. Like I said, I don't think that she did anything wrong or anything like that. It's just the camera made it very evident. So anyway, Top Tier gets control, and they take over on Spice. They get the heat on her. I like when Top Tier gets Spice into the corner, and you see Glitter and Crush grabbing the arms, making sure she can't leave. Small things make so much difference. They look like they were making effort to prevent this woman from getting away. The small package that she does on Campanelli when she gets the opportunity, she's still fighting. She's fighting from underneath. She being Spice. And the heel team is still taking advantage of her. And right back into arrogant territory. Crush comes back in. Looks like she does not give any second thoughts to how much she can control / dominate this young lady. Because she is bigger. She is stronger. But, she's letting her arrogance get the better of her. She tries to drop an elbow. Spice is out of the way. It kind of looked a little bit awkward because it seemed like she was already out of the way by the time she dropped the elbow. I think the editors did about as good a job as they could to try to, take the obviousness off of that. But Spice has managed to, she gets out of the way. She manages to make the tag. And then here comes Sugar. Sugar starts taking control. And Sugar begins to clean house. Also does a good job, except for the walk up in the corner. Everything was fine. I have to make note here, as those of you who listen to this regularly may know, I generally do this while I'm at the job because, I guess let's refresh what I do. We monitor a bunch of stations across the country. And this is just one of the things that comes on while we're doing those stations. There are a number of guys that are in there who have begun to watch WoW because I watch WoW. And also because of that, you're going to get, and for those of you WoW girls that may be listening, I'm going to apologize to you up front because yes, you're going to get some guys there's some young men in this work environment, and they're probably watching for all the wrong reasons, but I'm pretty sure you're aware of that. And I say all of that to say this, Gloria Glitter, you've developed a pretty much a fan base within that room. So congratulations. Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 of you that certain guys there. I'll just like infatuated might be the wrong word, but yeah, they've there's a little bit of a fan base based on what's a nice way to say it, some of your attributes. Moving on, so Sugar is in the ring. She hits Glitter. Glitter manages to hit a cold break on Sugar. That allows her to make the tag. Sugar sells it great. She looks dazed. I don't know when I developed this little thing about nuances, but I love that the camera shot actually showed that she looked like she was out of it. Just go back and look at her face after Glitter pops her with the code breaker. She's groggy. I mean, she looks like she's in another world and just visual in her eyes. The only thing that I did not really care for with the finish wasn't the finisher itself. It was that Glitter ran across the ring and pretty much stopped both Candy Crush and Spice from getting in there by herself. I didn't necessarily agree with that. Yes, Campanelli was smart and went right out there after they hit the move to seemingly aid her partner. But I thought that it should have been a little bit in reverse, that they both knocked them down and then they get the move in while they're off on the ground, and maybe Glitter would go down and stomp them both while they both took a hit or something along those lines. But they win with bottom tier, their finish. And that was that. I mean, it was a fine match, but like I said, I'm not a fan of the Trios Championships, the Vanity Belts. They cut a promo afterwards. It's a lot less cartoony at this point, and good on that. I don't know where they're trying to go with this thing, because as they're talking, McLane references an old angle. He references something that Campanelli did initially when she was with Randy Rara. She didn't let her speak at all. She would pull the microphone away, and remember, she was a babyface then, allegedly. So now here she has a heel, and the microphone's being passed around, and McLane's made it a point like, oh, she's allowing them to talk. And I was like, okay, well, if that's not going anywhere, I don't know why we would bring that up, because she hasn't been the same person. So like I said earlier, she has shown some evolution, however minor it may be, but she showed evolution in who she is. And I don't think that the allowing them to talk thing is even a relative point anymore. Top tier has been presented as we're on the same playing field, not I stand above all of you, which is another reason I was like, she's less of the coach thing. Yeah, she's clearly the lead in that, but it's not like do what I say or else, or I'm not going to let you talk because I know better than you and stuff like that. It's been pretty level. The faction of top tier is fine. The faction of top tier I like. I just don't like that they have these belts that I do not feel, unless they show me something different, have any value towards WoW as a whole. This was no angle. I wrote down they look good, they worked well, but there's no destination in sight. Now that may change, but top tier has no destination in sight. It's just we're top tier, we're the best team in professional wrestling. Ha ha ha. And that's it. I still don't even understand why they had the belts to begin with. They couldn't beat Ariel Sky, who's not even there. They couldn't beat her in a random rotation of tag teams that paired off with her. And then they just got belts handed to them. That didn't make a lick of sense to me. So anyhow, yeah, there's no destination in sight for top tier. It just feels like they're rudderless and just there to win a couple of matches up until the point that they got to put somebody over, I guess. Next segment, McLane billboards the next set of matches and run down the matches for the show. Segment after that is a match. Reina Del Rey and Pep Reilly. Reilly is introduced by Zayn as the sole member of Team Spirit. I don't know what this thing is that they have about still announcing memberships when there's only one person left. If there's one person around, then it ain't no membership. There is no team. She's just Pep Reilly, which also goes with there's no point in you having this cheerleader gimmick. And hopefully, considering what happens later on, they may get past that. I hope so. I hope that cheerleader gimmick gets dropped. There's no purpose in it anymore. Other than somebody in management probably likes it. But this match is everything that it needed to be. It was everything it needed to be, everything it should have been, and it was a squash. And not a squash with a little bit of, she could have won. No, it was a squash. It was, let's beat this young lady up, get her out of the way. And that's what it should have been. There's absolutely zero reason for Pep Reilly to be looked at and or treated in a competitive sense as Reina Del Rey. The match in and of itself is probably like 2 minutes long. If that. I mean, 3 possibly. Who knows? So Del Rey comes out, and I guess we're going to say that Gambino is her manager. Gambino is another case of somebody who, whatever direction she was heading in, it just got cut off. Not due to no fault of her own, because apparently she got injured. But before this took place, she was undefeated. And they were working up this undefeated angle, seemingly, before, we had to shift gears and come to this. I know I said it before with Del Rey. Sometimes she's had some of the worst luck as it relates to WoW and whatever angle or direction she may have been. But this apparently is the start of a new angle, new direction. So we will see how that goes. Reilly, well, let's just go with the match. Reilly is such a tiny thing. Such a tiny thing. One thing I did like here, or aside from the fact that it was a squash and it needed to be a squash, is that she starts off and Del Rey doesn't even touch her. She basically just walks her into the corner just out of intimidation. And I thought that was really good. I thought it was a nice effect just to illustrate the point. I generally don't have a lot of good stuff to say about a Pep Reilly match, but the sell of the fear that she had in the corner was impressive. I thought that she did a really good job in the little thing of showing the intimidation, backing it up in the corner, showing it in her face, and basically developing the guts to try to fight once Del Rey walks away from her. She gives her a little shove. And she tries to come across with a high cross body after ducking underneath a clothesline, if I remember correctly. And then she gets caught, and Del Rey does some curls with her. I was like, this is like the definition of a squash match. I know sometimes the WoW will have these matches where people come in there and lose, but, they may not always have a squash. There was no chance here, and there was no debate as to who was going to win this whatsoever. Did she get a couple of moves in here and there? Yes. And it was done in a way that fit the narrative of the match. Pep Reilly gets a kick in. Del Rey looks annoyed that she gets a kick in on her. And then she catches the second kick and just shoves her off. And almost every chance she gets, she's like, Hey, look at me. You know what I mean? So it is telling this audience very clearly who's in charge, who's in, control, who's going to win this. There's no way that this young girl can ever do anything to me. Gambino's out there on the outside taunting her. The match is not important, so let's just get down to where the end, because like I said, it is almost all squash. She gets a move in here and there, but nothing of any significant point to where, she was going to win it. The biggest rush that she got was when she slips out of the electric chair maneuver that Del Rey has and then shoves her into the corner. She comes charging across with the cartwheel, and she tries to get her with that cartwheel elbow, and she's caught and flung immediately into the top turnbuckle, and just comes out of the corner dragging, and just looks like she doesn't know what day of the week it is. The Northern Lights lariat, clothesline to the back of the head. I mean, they probably should call it something else. But she nails Pep Reilly with that, and then she's out cold. 1, 2, 3, done. Match is over with. And it works fine. Del Rey does not look like she broke a sweat. In comes Gambino. And now she cuts a promo following the match, essentially saying that, she understands the importance of family. And now she is introducing her new family, and that being Reina Del Rey, and joining them now are the Brat Pack. There's only one reason that I accept the Brat Pack in this position, because the Brat Pack have been destroyed pretty regularly. Well, I mean, destroyed might be a harsh word. Let's rephrase that. They have lost more than they've won. They have not done anything significant. They have not shown, if you were scouting for help or somebody to join your group, they have not shown that they would necessarily be the ones that you would go after. Right? But in this instance, because, and it was referenced, got to give them credit for that, because the Gambino-Gianni connection, I could buy into the idea that she would want to work with somebody that she's worked with already. So I was willing to let that go. And again, the commentators referenced it, so thumbs up for them on that. My initial notes, and we have to wait and see how it goes, but my initial notes was another heel faction ? Is there enough room for this? And I don't know. It's like when I think about WoW right now, they don't really have any top baby faces. Baby faces are all tied up in tag teams. You might be able to say Fury or Kalaki, who comes up next. But Fury has been up and down, and she's been a rudderless boat with no direction in sight, just like top tier. Kalaki being new, of course, she has to lose because she's new. Aussie's in a tag team. Tormenta's in a tag team. Like, other than the Beast, there's no, at least none that I can think of, no singular babyface star that WoW has. They almost all have been lumped into a tag team. So when I see that, and then I see another heel faction, it makes me think, who are they going to feud with? Where is this going to go? What's the payoff for this going to be? Now, they got plenty of time. We got several episodes because, as they said, this was shot from September 2024 to September 2025, or produced for that time. So they got time for this to unfold, and I'm willing to sit and watch it unfold to see whether it goes anywhere. But yeah, where are they gonna go with this? Who are they gonna go in this with? I don't know. And it didn't seem like they put a lot of thought into the name of the group. They just went with the Alliance. I'm like, all right, well, I guess somebody was watching WWE The Invasion that week and decided, let's use the Alliance. So there we go. We got another heel faction right along with Fabulous Four and Top Tier. Yay. Next segment, Commentators billboard, the promo, billboard, the match and promo for the main event. Segment after that, Fury and Kalaki, the Island Girl. They are now having a babyface match. This is somewhat the opposite of the praise that I gave for Jessie Jones and Penelope Pink in the heel versus heel match. Whereas I was like, this makes sense. It's involved in an angle. You can see that they're trying to outdo each other in the ring and so on and so forth. Not that a babyface match doesn't work. But in this particular instance, there was really no point behind having this babyface match. The match in and of itself is fine. But I think my biggest issue is that she Kalaki, the Island Girl, Tracy Taylor, had already lost once. She lost in her debut. She didn't just lose in the tag team match. She dropped a fall in the tag team match, which again, for a while is a regular occurrence. You're making your appearance there, then you gotta lose. So, I did not see this as being a big deal because it's cold. There's nothing behind it. It wasn't leading to anything. Didn't really have any revelations in front of or behind it. It was a nice exchange of holds between two baby faces. I want to say popular baby faces, but it's hard for me to gauge that in Wild's audience. So because it didn't have much to it, much coming from it, or much within it. Well, I shouldn't say that. That sounds like the match was bad. The match was fine. When I say much within it, like there was no tease. There was nothing that looked like it might come from the confrontation between the two of them. So fine match, but a cold match, and a cold match that did not really do anything other than fill out the airtime. And there's nothing wrong with filling out the airtime, but why isn't Fury going against a heel? Why isn't Kalaki going against a heel? Why isn't Kalaki going against someone that she can actually beat and maybe look like he can get something out of her? I've already said I think they missed the boat with her. They reference in this match that she's a veteran. They're like, yeah, it's over 10 years that she's been wrestling. And, well, they said that about both. I actually think that Taylor had wrestled longer than Fury did, if I remember correctly. Because by the time I came across her, when would that have been? It had to have been something about 2016, 2017, somewhere now, I think. But when I met her at that point, she might have had 5 professional matches. If I'm remembering correctly. It might have been somewhere around that time, like maybe a good 5. So that's like, I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, she's been doing this a while, and I'm certainly not going to take away from the fact that she's had matches, and she's had matches for a significant amount of time. I just don't recall whether she's had matches that equal the amount of time as Tracy Taylor does. I think she's actually wrestled a little bit longer, but that's a moot point. I just felt like if you're going to bring up the fact that she actually does have a history outside of WoW, then they should have really leaned into that, like I said, and positioned her as a legend, so to speak, to exist in their universe. But they seem like they've kind of moved away from that. So we have this match, and we will go to the high spots of the match. dislike the surfboard spot that Taylor or Kalaki has added into her resume, her repertoire. The one that she does when she locks out the legs and then stands on them like a surfboard, that one I like. She's been doing that for a while. And when she does it that way, it looks feasible because she's locking out the legs, right? And you could buy for a little while that, hey, they can't move because she's got the legs tied up and she can stand on top of them and surf, right? The one that I dislike is the body surfing thing. That one just looks absurd. Not because Kalaki's on it, but because she does the swim, which then makes the person underneath her do a stupid swim along with her. And that's exactly what happened. She gets on top of Fury and then she starts waving her arms around like she's in the pool somewhere. I was like, why are you doing that? So, this match was a nice exchange of holds. It wasn't anything aggressive or mean. No one broke out and punched somebody else in the face or anything like that. It was just an exchange of two baby faces, and they kind of moved on from there. They didn't even really go. Well, I can't say they didn't go for the finish, but it didn't end with a finish or the finisher. So it was no Flight of Fury or whatever Kalaki's finisher happens to be because we haven't seen it. Or at least it hasn't been effective if we have. So getting towards the end of the match. What basically happens here is that they go through, I guess we're going to say, showing that there's an even Steven type exchange between the two of them. Because it's just going from, one thing to the next. Kalaki does a really good gut wrench power slam. I love that thing. When she shoots Fury off into the ropes, catches in the gut wrench and brings over, off of the rebound. That looks good. Nice move to have as a signature. But as she does that, and then she gets up and she prepares to do either, I guess, a flipping leg drop or perhaps senton, she misses. Fury gets out of the way, and then Fury comes and rolls her up and then gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. We're done. No cheating involved, and, that was that. And you got the girls from the internship from the college down the street jumping up and down and yelling because I'm pretty sure that they were told to do it. And that was that. They moved on. Like I said, not really much to see here. There's been no mention of Rebel Hayes or the Heavy Metal Sisters that I'm aware of. Have you heard that? Have they explained where exactly Rebel Hayes went? Because we had started with Fury going into a singles act before, and then the second they had somebody come along that had anything remotely close to a musical / heavy metal gimmick, they just stuck her into the Heavy Metal Sisters. And how long did that last? She wasn't even invited back, which is also kind of messed up. Wow. that they had to find out, because the roll call sheet came out and your name ain't on it. I mean, the least you could do, and I've said this before, the least that they could have done is send out an email like, yo, we appreciate the time, but in this particular season, we're not going to be, we don't have room for you here. Phrase it nice. And if we can get back with you, we'd love to have you again. It's just, our creative is in a different, we have other things that we would like to do right now or whatever. I don't know. But why had this person, and I wasn't even a fan of Rebel Hayes. That's not to say the person herself, but I wasn't a fan of the character of Rebel Hayes. But if you're going to have that, it's like, why would you even bother to audition somebody to come out to be a part of your TV show, to get them on for maybe 6 months or so, and then be like, all right, well, nope, we're going to see you later. And they shouldn't even say anything like, well, she wasn't getting it. If she wasn't getting it in the ring, that is your fault. I mean, I wish I knew the reasons why, but if that was it, if it was a case of, well, she just isn't picking it up fast enough, that's your fault. Stop hiring people that don't know what they're doing or weren't bothering to be wrestlers in the first place. Maybe you would happy with that would last longer or be more useful in the ring. So anyhow, yeah, they haven't brought that up, and I made sure to put that note down. It's like they have not mentioned Rebel Hayes or Heavy Metal Sisters, why they dissolved, or it's just the Heavy Metal Sister Fury, and wherever direction she happens to go, I don't know if she has a direction at this point. I guess they'll unveil as time goes on. I wrote down that this is a babyface match. It didn't really serve any purpose, opposed to Pink and Jones, the heel match of the previous episode. The heel match had an objective in mind. This didn't. It was just there. Next segment, backstage, Pep Reilly upset at the loss. And her being upset and disappointed, I wrote down, highlighted, and underlined, it makes sense. For her, it makes sense. Opposed to what we saw at Ice Cold, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, where she lost a match, that singular match, and then she threw a goddamn tantrum in the ring and then was mad enough to walk backstage and throw away a cape that she doesn't even wear anymore at a conveniently placed trash can. Speaking of conveniently placed, Pep Reilly comes backstage and there's a chair just waiting there by the door, and she sits down and pouts. But again, like I said, at least in this case, it makes sense. Pep Reilly has not won a goddamn thing. She's been beaten up pretty much repeatedly. She joined a team that almost immediately dissolved. The partner that she got for joining that team, none of them are around. She has a reason to be upset when you look at the whole scope of it. Ariel Scott is not there. Her tag team partner, I can't even remember her name now. God damn. Sasha Sparks. She ain't there. Coach Campanelli's off in another thing. Pep Reilly has lost every singles match she's had and tag match. And she just lost another one. Not just lost another one, she lost another one in convincing fashion. She has every right to be upset and down and, whatever. In her case, makes a ton more sense than what Ice Cold did. But she sits down and she's kind of pouty, right? As she's doing that, for some reason or another, here comes Dante and Chainsaw. I don't know why they're coming from the arena, because this, that's what the sign says. Like, this sign shows us out of the arena. Maybe they were just walking through. We'll just assume it for that. But as Riley's sitting there feeling sorry for herself and Dante and Chainsaw walk in, Dante is like, I need that more out of you. I need more aggression and focus and this, that, and the other and blah, 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 which only makes me feel like this was following a match directly, which clearly it wasn't. But as Dante walks off screen, Chainsaw sees Riley, and she starts looking at her with this look of curiosity. Riley looks like she's terrified, like, what's this woman going to do to me? And, again, with her and her size and Chainsaw and her size, and having been beat up by someone who's roughly the same size as Chainsaw, if Chainsaw's not a little bit bigger, it would look like and make sense that she would be concerned about what is she about to do? What might she do? And then the camera gets close up on her face as she looks at her like, I don't know what to think of this. So, where this is going, who knows? I theorize that, you can get one or two things off of this. You can get Chainsaw going babyface and somehow having some infatuation with Pep Reilly and wanting to help her out or whatever, or Pep Reilly can get drafted over into the dark side and add another face to the heels. I don't know. So we'll see, but I will credit that segment with, at least for that person, it makes sense as to why she's there and feeling the way she's feeling. Next segment, Jessie Jones is backstage and drinking. She's getting loaded. And she has a little flask in her hand and she's guzzling down whatever it is that she's guzzling down. We'll assume that is Kentucky bourbon because that's apparently the only thing that she knows how to drink or wants to drink. See, I'm really surprised that, I mean, you really can't see the bottle, but or the label. I'm really surprised that they turned the bottle towards the camera. So anyhow, Jones is sitting in the locker room and she's having her drink. Abilene Maverick comes in and Abilene is talking about, what are you making a deal with McLane for? Talking about the $10,000 that he's offering up for information, and apparently Jones has information. Now, I'm going to pause just to say this one thing. I don't mind this segment. Although I have said, while floats back and forth between the camera being visible to the participants involved and it being invisible to the participants involved. In this case, I'll assume that it's supposed to be invisible. Even though, because why would you have a camera just sitting there waiting for Abilene Maverick to walk in? But even though they didn't really unveil any secrets or anything like that, it still is, like I said, that sometimes it's there, sometimes it ain't. Sometimes it's treated like it's there, sometimes it's not. In this case, I'll just assume that it's not. But they both are talking about the attack on the Beast like, I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't have anything to do with it. And that's fine. My issue has been, since they started rolling this out, it's like, then why did all of them collectively gather around while this thing was taking place? That didn't make any sense to me. If Abilene Maverick had absolutely nothing to do with that, why was she just waiting on standby with somebody to push her wheelchair out there the second that the Beast got clobbered in the head with a bottle of liquor with 3 other people? You don't know if they're on your side or not. But she goes out there like, see, karma or whatever. And Jessie Jones is in the ring laughing. Now, to her credit, online, she justified why she was laughing. But that's online. And that wasn't even a video. It was like a comment to somebody else in the comment section. She said something to the effect of, I didn't have anything to do with it. I just thought it was funny. Like, that should have been said on TV, not in the comment section of Wow's Instagram. The setup for this thing that's going on with the Beast, it feels a little off to me because you go back to Jessie Jones. She's won the title match. But when this whole thing went down, that title match did not seem nearly as important to her as watching the Beast getting blasted over the head. If she was going to go down this path of, you screwed me out of my title match, she should have looked upset that this happened. She should have gotten on the microphone and said, I don't care what happened to the Beast. My match is now. Put her in the ring. David could have said, no, she's hurt. I won't allow it. And then she still has a gripe. I'm the number one contender. I should be the number one contender. I never got my match. But that one scene, and we'll call it that one scene devalued this. It devalued their position, and it's like they're now having to reestablish, well, I didn't have anything to do with it. Well, I didn't have anything to do with it. So they go on with that. So Maverick comes in to confront Jones. They both show signs of no knowledge of who attacked the Beast. That they kind of put that back and forth, and Jones kind of hints at the idea like, I know more about you than you think I do. That's not her words, but kind of leads around to that. So Maverick is more or less saying that she's trying to make it up to Jessie Jones that she cost her the match. And she says, I got you booked against Penelope Pink next week. And says some stupid line. I can't remember what it was. I mean, I shouldn't say stupid. I'm sorry, Abilene. I'm sorry. But she says something that she like assumes to be a phrase from the South. I can't remember exactly what that line is. I didn't write it down. But as she does that, and she pops the gum in Jessie's mouth and turns around, Jessie looks annoyed, and then she gets up and takes the gum out of her mouth and looks like she's about to put it in Abilene's hair, and then they cut. I'm like, okay, I don't know why you would do that. So I guess we're going to see 2-3 weeks from now that, hey, look at the cameras. They caught her putting gum in Abilene Maverick's hair when it's not important us to see anymore. I guess. We'll find out. The next segment is McLane introing the footage of the mother truckers going to Lana Star's mansion. I'm sure the nicely rented mansion that they had so they can do their segment. McLane is already smiling and laughing about this before we see anything up front, so we know immediately that this is all comedy and is not to be taken seriously. He's like, I enjoyed seeing them night. So like the second I heard that, I was like, all right, well, we know what this is. It cuts to the mother truckers arriving at Lana's mansion. And the first thing I wrote is like, okay, if this is where she stays, what the hell did they go to the hotel for? If they knew where she stayed at, or they could get the information where she stayed at, why did they go to the hotel to deliver her stuff? That didn't make any sense. But they go to her house, allegedly, and this is obviously shot multiple times because they did the angle. We got a camera shot of them walking up, and you don't see a camera behind them, and then you get a camera shot from behind, and you don't see one in front. So this is obviously multiple takes. And I might be in reverse, but you get the idea. I also wrote down, why does Lana even need a hotel since she lives there in the city? I don't know. Anyhow. So Big Rig says we got to clean this mess. And I look at the house. And I think to myself, what mess? This house looks immaculate. There's nothing in the yard. The driveway. When they open the door, we don't see any signs of mess. It's just like this. This place looks like it's barely dirty to begin with. So what are we talking about? They play the idiot country bumpkins like they always do. And then Lana answers the door and appears shocked that they're wearing the mother truckers' outfits. Like, why? They wear them everywhere. They wear them in the arena. They wear them going to the hotel. They wear them when they pick them up in the truck. Why would you now be surprised that they're wearing mother truckers' outfits? It's all they own, apparently. And then she's like, what? I can't believe it. Did anybody see you get in here? It's like, yeah, I saw it. I waved at the neighbors. Like, it's like, they got to turn up the countryness for when they're on TV. And they cut back to the commentators. And again, McLane makes it clear because he's there enjoying himself that, this shouldn't be taken seriously whatsoever. This is Wow's rendition of the Beverly Hillbillies. They also advertised the mother truckers, this is the next segment, for next week versus Chainsaw and Siren. And I wrote down in quotation mark, will they be terrified? Because last time they was in there with these same two people, they were terrified. They won, but they were terrified. Main event. Princess Aussie and Tormenta versus Miami Sweet Heat for the Tag Team Championship. Not sure how they got the title shot, but they got it. Which also makes me feel like, why does anybody on WoW complain or bother to try to get a championship match to begin with when they just kind of rotate around the entire roster at some point in time? If you're there long enough, you'll get one. Except for Jessie Jones for whatever reason. I guess she just got the plague. But almost everybody gets a title shot. Like people who didn't participate in a single number one contenders match gets title shots. The Classmaster. What number one contender match that she participated in that she got it? None. She just got one. Chainsaw. Same thing. And there's several other ones out there that got matches against them. Miami Sweet Heat wrestled against whatever tag team that's tossed up against. Like, what difference does it make if they win a number one contenders match or not? They almost all get it at some point in time. So anyhow, McLane talks about Lana Star's history as this starts up, and he goes into Lana Star having defeated Terry Gold, which is worthless information. I mean, it is information that is, I was going to say true. It's not true. That was a phantom switch, and they don't have any footage that's going to prove otherwise. But he talks about Lana having been a former champion, and yes, she was a wrestler there, but that wasn't her strong suit. It never was. I like Lana as a manager. She should just stick with that. Her getting out of the ring was probably the best thing for her. Zayn talks about Aussie and Tormenta tagging, as if this was the first time. I don't know why, but it just came off that way to me. But David does mention that they have history and that they earned their shot. I wrote down when and how. When did they earn a shot at the mother trucks, Miami Sweet Heat, at the tag titles at all? When did they earn this? I don't remember that happening whatsoever. Yeah, I have no recollection of this team getting a anything that allowed them or put them as number one contenders. I did skip past one thing. I forgot that the segment preceding the main event match was their promo. Princess Aussie and Tormenta cut a promo before the match, and it sounds pretty good. It's basic material, but it sounds good. I like the look. I was glad that WOW has a different location. I think I said this the last time Aussie was in front of the crates. I like it that, it has a different feel, different vibe. Looks like it's directly before they walking out to the arena. I like that. I just hope that it's not overdone. I don't want the crates to become the new WOW stairs, where everything takes place in front of this. Or at least every time Aussie does something, it's there. So it was fine. And I want them, and this is just a personal thing, I want them to push Aussie to do stronger promos. Because I know that she can. But the material is, like I said, is very basic material. Like almost everybody's material is basic. You say this thing. And it doesn't really allow for someone who is a good communicator or verbalist to get in there and cut a promo that would make people feel for them. I would really like WOW to allow their baby faces to get the audience to feel for them. It's one of the great missteps that WOW has. You got a lot of people, very few personalities. There's a lot of talent on the roster. Even the ones that I say that, they just answered off the bat. Even them, I will pull that aside and just say, as much as I dislike the idea of just actresses answering that or stunt women or whatever, even they are talent to the roster, and I'd have to credit as such. But there's a lot of talented people there, very few personalities. Very few people that you can care about. Very few people that you have some sort of identifiable thing that you can relate to that makes you want to see them succeed. It's just, we're in WOW. We're going to win this match. We're going to win this championship. Or I'm going to beat so-and-so. And any varying combination of that. If you're a heel, the only addition that you had to that is making your comments in the ring and addressing David directly. Other than that, most of the, and I say most, not all, but most of the promos that are cut on Wild do not feel like they have any sort of connective tissue. It's just get these points across. It reminds me, and I know it's going to seem like it's a stretch, but just bear with me. It reminds me, there was a lot of, several years ago, Tom Hanks was the host of Saturday Night Live. And at this point, Saturday Night Live probably existed for, let's say, 16, 17, maybe 18 years at that point. They're on 50 now, 50th season. How about that? But they had, by that point, they had established a routine. They established what they were doing with the guest hosts. And that was the crux of the monologue. Hanks comes out there, is like, I'm here to do the show. He looks like he's bored initially. He's like, I'm here to do the show, and I was told to come out here and relay the following information. It's great to be here. We have a great cast. It's, the musical guest is outstanding, and it's going to be a great show. It's like, as long as you relate those 4 points of information, they're happy with you. And then he's like, all right, now that being said, hey guys, it is great to be here. The cast is crazy, and oh man, it's going to be a great show. And wow, like he immediately goes off of this. Like, but the point of it being is that those 4 points, they were consciously aware that you deliver these things, that's all we need. WoW has become that for promos. Deliver these things, that's all you need. We're going to go out there, we're going to win the match. We're going to beat this person up and or get the championship. Yes. And like I said, and if you're a heel, David, I got a bone to pick, however they choose to phrase it. A lot of that stuff is just recycled material over and over and over again. And I don't mind recycled material, but I at least want it to be said witty, kind of witty. And I never get the feeling that they allowed him to be witty. So I go back to the initial statement. I really wish that they would push Aussie to have stronger promos for that show and allow her. And because she's probably the best option for a singular babyface that they've got at this point. Singular babyface not named the Beast. But for people to really connect with her, I don't think that, at least television-wise, I don't think that she gets the chance to be connected with. It's a shame, but it's true. After she cuts her promo, Tormenta cuts hers. She cuts hers in Spanish, and they got the subtitles on there, which is nice. It's different. Both, and read good. Ozzy's promo sounded good. And they both delivered with absolute conviction, but it just did not have enough to make me really care whether they were going to win or not. That's what I'm looking for now. I want to see them get me to the point that I get behind somebody and want to see them succeed, get that championship match, get that title shot or whatever, or win the belt. At this point, I never, ever, ever feel like I am concerned with and or care about any of them winning anything, because the angle leading into those things are very, very loosely knit. So back to the match. Where were we with that? I said that Nigel Zane talks about them tagging. I said that already. And David gets into them earning a shot. I wrote when and how, said that. I did write this match I expect to be good because of the participants involved. Whereas I have said, and I don't back that up, or I don't take it back that there are better teams in Wild than Miami Sweet Heat. That is not me saying that Miami Sweet Heat is bad. I actually think that they are a good team. I'm just trying to be specific to say that they aren't the best team, in my opinion. So, but no, I mean that they do well. They present the image of Miami Sweet Heat very well, and they can deliver the goods in the ring. Lana looks good with them. She speaking of people that cut promos, of the people that have done promos that have gone somewhere in recent weeks, Lana. Of all the people who seem like they've gotten a promo that will help you understand who she is, why she's there, her motivations, etc., 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 Lana Star. It's so shocking to me, but yes, it's her. So they go into this, and then, as usual, they have to bring up, well, Tormenta's the Mexican champion. How long are they going to carry on about her being the Mexican champion? I mean, enough already. Change the goddamn tune. It is so overdone at this point. And no, they didn't beat it into the ground, but why are you bringing this up at all? Because, my gosh, her being the Mexican, I cannot repeat this enough, her being the Mexican champion for another promotion, allegedly, that she's held on to for apparently 2 years in an entirely different promotion, means nothing. It means nothing. She doesn't even come out with a belt. If they're going to keep carrying on about her being the Mexican champion, at least give her a belt made. And that might, add to the presentation that she comes out with her own championship. You might be able to get a match out of it. She could defend it there if you just want to make up a promotion that doesn't exist and give her a title that she could defend on WoW. Maybe. If she was healed, it would have been better. But, you could have had the unofficial world's champion, whatever. I don't know. But there's no point in keep carrying on about she's the Mexican champion. Like, that is the save all for anything that you have to justify with Tormenta. Why is she in this match? Well, she's Mexican champion. It's so ridiculous. Like, when it was the first month or two, I got it. When it was half a year of that, okay. When it went a full season of this, I was like, all right, enough. Move on. This is another one of those problems that I say WoW has personality-wise. Like, if your persona is not visible in the goddamn stupid outfit that you're wearing, then they got to apply something like that to you, and that becomes the defining characteristic of whoever you are. See the class master. She's 6'2". Hey, get something else. Have something else that you can lean on as to why this person is here. Because all I'm getting out of WoW now is that it is the most superficial, basic things allows you to be a WoW competitor. You stand 6 feet tall. All right, well, sign up. You got a championship from a promotion that's never mentioned and a belt that's never seen. Get a title match. It is dumb. And again, all 4 people in this match, much like the first match, I like Tormenta. I like Princess Aussie. I like Miami Sweet Heat. And Lana. All 5. But they have got to give Tormenta something else. They have got to give her something else and stop leaning on this fictional belt that she has. Or this championship that she why would that be relative to her getting a championship match in another promotion anyway? It'd be like me saying, all right, well, look, I got a promotion and I'm going to give the Beast every title match possible because she was the WoW champion. Like maybe once, sure. But I'm not just going to keep doing it over and over and over again because she was a WoW champion. That would be absurd. Like, you got to win here. You have to win in my promotion. You get one pass, maybe two, possibly three off of your past accolades. But beyond that, I need you to start winning in my place. And that's what Tormenta needs. She needs to have something in WoW that she can utilize, or that the commentators most specifically can utilize, to show her to be the competitor that she is. And not just lean on ridiculous stuff like that. So anyhow, so let's just get to the match. And Tormenta starts off with Laurie, and they do fine. I fully expected the match to be fine. They looked like they, a legit working competitors. And not just in there goofing off or, going through a series of memorized moves. Even if that were the case, they at least made it look like it was, well, with the exception of one spot. But they at least made it look like there was some effort there. I like the exchange that Tormenta and Laurie started off with. I like that Tormenta was able just to back her up into the corner. And although Laurie backed up as the heel, as she should, she did not look like she was terrified of her. She looked like, I need to regroup. It wasn't like the Pep Reilly thing. Pep Reilly looked like she was, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's about to get, whereas Laurie, and in fairness to her, it wasn't like the camera was in her face, but she looked like it was more of a strategic retreat rather than, oh, get away from me, I'm scared, And I'm basing that off of body language. So she backs up into a corner. Tormenta's smart enough to know that I do not need to be going up into the corner. So even though she gets relatively close, she does not stay there. The second that Lindsay moves anywhere on that apron, Tormenta sees it and backs up. So it's those things like that. Then she backs off, tags to her partner as Lindsay comes in. Aussie comes in too. And so the exchanges continue. Aussie catches her with a hurricanrana and all that. We're not going through the entire play-by-play. But they do, their shtick, get Lindsay over into the corner and, take advantage of her. Now, of course, the referees have no ability to get anybody out the ring. I have just grown to dislike WoW's referees just in general, except for maybe one or two. Because Scheinberg was awful with it, but this guy that I don't even know his name, the guy with the shaved head, he looks like he's getting just as bad with the allowing people just to do whatever they want to do for as long as they want to do it until they decide to get out on their own. He makes no effort to put them out of the ring at all. Like, it at least look like you're a figure of authority there. But we will get to that anyway because I know that little spot hasn't come up yet. So there's a nice tandem move by Aussie and Tormenta. I'm glad that they dropped that cold breaker spot. It was not working. But the wheelbarrow into the leg drop spot I can buy. Might need to be a little smoother, but I'm sure they will work that out. Laurie comes in for the save. Good on her. Then there's all four of them. And then the referee's just standing around like an idiot. Like, hey, guys, what are you doing? Stop. Hey, move. Get out of the ring. Get out right now. And he doesn't do any of that. He just allows them to do what they're doing without any efforts whatsoever. So all four of them are there. Sweet Heat try to shoot the baby faces off. They go into the ropes. They grab the ropes. Then Miami Sweet Heat decide to just throw themselves out of the ring because they charge in and just run out. The baby faces high-five each other in the ring. Then they decide to do what we assume to be dives. They do baseball slides and catches them both. And then they do, another effort for a high-five. I think Aussie might have smacked Tormenta in the face when she did that. And for the baseball slide it didn't really do much anything because Miami Sweet Heat turned that around immediately by running them into the side of the apron. Then the babyfaces take over again. And then Lana Star comes up with the toy mirror and look like she's about to smack her over the head right there in front of the referee. I mean, he is literally right there hanging his head out at the ringside, and she's coming up to do that. Aussie sees it and catches her. And, prevents the potential interference of Lana Star. Now, I will say at least the referee turned his attention away so it didn't look like it was completely in his eyesight, but I know that there's no way that he missed it while walking around in the first place. I know you do have peripheral vision. So, as Lana Star is caught, Lindsay rams Aussie directly into the steel post. So now the heels are back in control. And, David does make reference to, you saw he was about to use the mirror. Like, I hate that mirror. It is such a dumb gimmick. The crutch, I gave praise to the crutch a week ago because at least you could believe that it knocked somebody out. I just absolutely dislike that mirror. So the babyface take control, and now we got the heat on Princess Aussie. They start beating her up for a significant amount of time, working her arms and all that good stuff. And I cannot get on Miami Sweet Heat. They do and did fine in this match. More so than that, I will say I have noticed that WoW has at least made effort for when the hot tag happens that they are trying to the heels are trying to cut the ring off and the babyface is trying to get across for the tag. And they're trying to do it in such a fashion that it is not an easy thing for them to pull off. The stalling double suplex I like. I like it because they set up the next move or the next effort. I dislike that after they did it, they went right into the close-up shot because if both of the members of Miami Sweet Heat were both doing push-ups, we couldn't see that. We saw Laurie do it, or at least partially, but that got off camera. I was like, I am really growing to dislike this close-up shot. It's cutting things off. And that's a production issue. That is not an issue of the talent in the ring. So she does the push-ups, and then she goes for the cover, and of course that that doesn't work because she wasted time, and that's what heels do. She gives Laurie gives a couple of rabbit shots, I guess forearm shots to Princess Aussie. I wish they'd have used a different camera angle for that one, but they didn't. Aussie's still fighting back from underneath, but she gets cut off. It's great. Another tag by Miami Sweet Heat, and they decide to try and go for it again. I love that Aussie fought. They pull her out into the center of the ring, seemingly to go for the double suplex again. And you get Aussie as they're hooking her in. She's firing off lefts and rights into the abdomen. Then she tries to go and reach out for a partner. She makes a dive over the top of both of Miami Sweet Heat, and they catch her and walk her right back to their corner. Great stuff. I have to repeat it. I cannot say anything bad about anybody that was in this match. They did a good job here. And like I said, I love, because we've not seen Miami Sweet Heat use a double suplex like this previously. But I love that they set the tone that they use a double suplex because they succeeded in it once in the match. They went for it again. She fought out of it. And then they go for it a third time. And she turns it into a DDT. So it didn't feel out of place. It just felt like, no, we're going to get this thing in because we like doing it and it worked the first time. And then they finally failed. So she gets him with the double DDT. That puts both members of Miami Sweet Heat down and they crawl into the individual corners. I have to say that in the room, That was the first nitpick thing that some of the guys like, oh, why they do that? They crawl over to the corners. Like, look, that's not a big issue, but that's what you get with some people. Is like they are looking for anything to be wrong with this show. And yes, I get it. I said before that I probably created a monster. And I've told them several times, it's like I know what I'm looking for when I'm critiquing these matches. I'm not just randomly saying every little thing that they do is stupid and wrong. Because even when they do stuff right, you get somebody in the room like, oh, they messed that up. It's like, no, they didn't. They did fine. And then they're like, oh. but they go looking for the problem. And this is, well, at least one or two particular guys at work. This is that scene that they saw the problems. Like, why did they crawl over to the corners? Like, well, look, that happens in wrestling. I have less of an issue with that than I do with angles and storylines and continuity. And I did not think that them crawling into the corner was some sort of big issue. Especially, you could justify that with, hey, they just took a DDT and they're too weak to get out of the ring. I mean, yeah, could they have rolled out? Sure, but you got to give a little bit of a leeway to the match. And it took great DDTs, by the way. It was a great DDT provided by Aussie, and they took it great. So, Aussie tags Tormenta. She gets the hot tag. And credit to them, because this was an industry-wide problem where everybody did the same hot tag over, like we both do it at the same time. I'm so glad that we got away from that. I hated that. Tormenta comes in and she has both of Miami Sweet Heat pretty much at her mercy. She charges, kicks one, drops knees on the other, drop kick to the other one across the ring, goes for the cover, unable to get it. And then she gives Laurie, Jordan Grace uses it now. She calls it a juggernaut driver. I don't know what it's called outside of that, but she gives Laurie that, and then Lindsay comes in for the save. This is what I was saying when we saw the Mother Truckers last time. I was like, when you got a big move like that, you need to get in for the save, opposed to just letting it kick out, and that's what they did. They came in, they got that save, and it would lend you to believe that the babyfaces might have pulled it off if Lindsay hadn't gotten in the way, or Laurie in the previous incarnation. Tormenta starts fighting back, but Lindsay clobbers her with a clothesline. Again, the referee is just standing around, counting, not doing anything. Just, hey, get out. 1, 2, and come on, guys, move. I do miss the days when you had a angry referee that would actually get up in their face like, get your ass out of this ring. I miss that because it made the cheating feel that much more significant. It made them work to be able to cheat instead of just letting everybody stand around and do everything that they want to do. But yeah, I miss those days. So, as the referee's allowing this to take place, Miami Sweet Heat decide to get a double team in on Tormenta now. So they shoot her off, trying to go for, I guess, what it would be a double clothesline. There's a blind tag that takes place when Tormenta goes back. She gets tagged out by Aussie, ducks underneath a clothesline, and Lindsay gets caught. Let me make sure I'm reading my notes correctly. They both go in there. Lindsay gets caught by Tormenta, so I was right with that. But Laurie got caught by Aussie, and she's staggered. Lindsay rolls out. Great high cross body off the top rope. And Lana Star now gets up, even though Laurie kicked out on her own. So her getting up on the apron in this particular instance, although it made sense for her to do it, was not necessary because Laurie got out of it. But it was a really good high cross body, and it was the type of move that would bring the audience up because you look like, hey, she might pull this thing off, but she didn't. So now after kicking out of that, you got Aussie, and she preps her for a cutter. Nails Laurie with that. Now she's looking for her finish. She's looking for the frog splash, which good on Aussie that she had established the frog splash. But one thing that the cameras did miss is the passing of the mirror to Laurie. I really wish that it was more evident on screen. I mean, you did see the referee, if you're paying attention, yank the mirror away from Laurie as, because it was fairly obvious that it was slid in, right? So let's pick it up from the cutter. The cutter happens. The referee is standing there looking at Laurie on the mat. The mirror is slid in right in front of his face. He sees the mirrors. He wrestles it away from her as Aussie is going up to the top rope. Lana Star then gets up on the apron to shove her down while the referee decides that I don't need to just put this mirror down. I need to hand it to somebody off screen to take away from me. I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like that he just had to be like, hey, you guys, take this mirror away. I was like, when did they ever do that? When did they ever get to the point where I have to not just get rid of it, I got to get it to somebody so they can take it out of the arena or whatever. So somebody comes up and takes the mirror while Lana tosses Aussie off, and I guess, I don't know why, because this happened before. For whatever reasons, when they're on the top rope and they get shoved off into the ropes. Like, I don't know how they redirect their body to do that. but she does, and she didn't crotch herself, but she clotheslines herself on the top rope, and then Laurie gets to cover 1, 2, 3. That was it. Match was fine. I enjoyed the match. Again, the circumstances around it kind of like made me feel like, well, it could have been better if they had something else. I think WOW should just go ahead and make claim on, we have an open policy for championship matches or open contract or something to justify it, rather than everybody gets a number one contendership, because that number one contendership thing kind of comes and goes. Some people have to go through a number one contendership match to get a shot. Other people just get a shot. Like I said, Aussie and Tormenta, I don't know what they did to get this match. They just got it. But it would make more sense to me in that regard. But I know that the open policy thing becomes problematic, because then you're now asking for how do you justify this person over the next person? Why are they just defending it every week? It does create its problems. I can fully, admit that. But they need to figure something out for their number one contenderships, because like I said, some people are forced into going through number one contenderships. Others are we just have a match. And the only other solution that I could have for it is if they went back to the policy of the champion must defend every 30 days. So they can avoid people. They'll do non-title matches or whatever, 3 episodes out of the month that they want to, but that they have to defend it once in every 30 days, which then would allow either the management to pick an opponent or give the give the champions the option to pick from a group or a list. Just something to apply some kind of logic to why and how certain people got it. Because I would accept it if they're like, look, this is your 30 days, and here are the 3 names, and we'll give you championship priority, championship prerogative. If you haven't picked one by the 30th day when you're supposed to defend it, either we will pick it for you or we will present you the top contenders and you make your choice. And then, that way you can kind of slide around the whole number one contendership thing. You can still apply it when necessary. That way it would justify David McLane or, whoever's deciding who the number one contender is, the names on the, quote, list. You know what I'm saying? And you also providing championship prerogative justifies anybody that gets a match out of the clear blue. We want to defend against the Mighty Mites, or, you know, and then you can play that into they only want to defend it against them because they feel like they're easy, you know, they're a walk in the park, they're easy match. And then lo and behold, they start fighting back. They're more trouble than they're worth or whatever. I mean, you get a lot of different things out of there, but I do think it's too late for this now because all this is shot. But I do think in the future that should possibly be addressed. It should possibly be addressed that, hey, maybe we should work out a way how they get to this point, why they're getting this match, who gets this match, and for what reason. But, you know, those are just my suggestions. What do I know about professional wrestling? So, in any case, that was the entirety of that episode. Not a bad episode, quite honestly. It becomes difficult to deal with when you are dealing with the circumstances that surround those things. When they have that, that's when it turns into, oh, why did they do this? Why is this taking place? What did they do this for? Why are they trying to be funny? Why are they doing this sitcom material? When they get into things like that, that is where it turns into, I don't understand this. What sense does this thing make? And I'm holding on to the concept or the idea that they might be able to make these angles and storylines that I am not particularly fond of make sense as it goes along. Now, I do not have high hopes for that, I will admit. And I don't have high hopes for it based on that they have not really done anything of note that I can recall with any storyline that they've done. Almost all storylines and angles that they have ended in absolute disaster as far as I'm concerned. They almost never have a reasonable payoff. It's just, let's just have a match. I mean, how many different payoffs did we see for the Ariel Sky revenge thing? She wrestled him like 4 different times, following her winning her freedom, which allegedly should have been the payoff right there. But no, they just kept going. Which is why I was like, you know, my fingers are crossed, but I don't have high hopes. I'm going to watch, and I will see whether they actually can do something and make me a believer. But I don't know, man. I don't know. So that being said, and having gone through the entirety of this, I would now like to read to you the episode that is next in line for this. Now, granted, I understand that by the time you're hearing this, you may have actually seen that episode. I am out of time. I am recording these things, you know, as time permits, and sometimes I may have reviewed it and then not gone up for days or whatever the case may be. But just know that even as I'm saying this now, that's why I say I'm out of time. Even as I'm saying this now, I might have actually watched this also. So go figure. I know it's a little bit of a loop or time warp, whatever you want to call it. But let's look at what is upcoming for me. Sorry about that. I think I popped my audio. But yeah, let's see what's upcoming for me to watch and review on the next go round, shall we? So the next one is going to be episode 305. Title, A Little Pink Elbow Grease. And this is the release that was given. The luxury hotel bill is due, and Lana Star has come to collect as Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag report for work duty at Lana's Fab 4 mansion to pay off their debt. Adriana Gambino debuts her new faction, the Alliance, in action when BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni take on the All-American Girls. Genesis looks to continue her dominance against Brittany Bay. Also in action, Animal Instinct. Goldie Collins and Katarina Jinx versus Chantilla Chella and Holiday before the Mother Truckers, Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag battle Siren, the Voodoo Doll, and Chainsaw. Well, we saw the promotion for that last one, the Mother Truckers versus Chainsaw and Siren. The rest of them, it looks like we got a new face popping up, Brittany Bay. And I'm going to assume that has something to do with the Bay Area, so I can only assume that it's another surfer gimmick of some sort. I am fully, absolutely positive that this is going to be a comedy segment with them cleaning up in the house or the mansion or whatever. I'm not looking forward to that. That sounds like it's going to be atrocious, but I could be wrong. And the All-American Girls taking on Rhythm and Gianni. Well, I will reserve that until I see the match, but I will say the All-American Girls made a poor decision in giving up their championship match. That should have been the audio clip that I used. You know, I used to start off this thing with comedy bits. I just thought about that now. Them giving up that match should have been met with "you chose poorly." Because when have they ever gotten a title match? People getting title matches around them, and they didn't. I think the last time they had a match against Siren and Chainsaw, didn't they have one against them like a little while ago? When I said that, Chainsaw gives Americana a good choke slam, and I gave Americana credit for taking it well, but storyline wise, they still lost. So. Yeah, you chose poorly. We will move on out of that and close this up. That was the review. I feel like this is still in the opening phases of what WoW is going to offer to its viewers, and the angles and stories have not unfolded yet to get you interested, but I also am so concerned that these things will not get you interested at all. I'm not interested. I don't care that they have to clean this woman's house. And other than that, I got no angle that I can really get behind. The only other angle that really seems like they're putting some effort into is almost all built around heels. Jessie Jones, Abilene Maverick, Penelope Pink. There's not a babyface in it. The Beast is the babyface in this equation, and we haven't seen her in weeks. Yet another reason why I was like, you know what? I really wish they would have just put her on camera from her house with a bandage on her head or something like that, vowing revenge. Be angry. Be upset. Be mad about it. But, you know, I guess that didn't make sense to whoever was writing this. Or they didn't think about it. So as we wrap this up, I do want to thank you for tuning in to another episode and another review. Thank you very much. If you are so inclined and you're listening to this in greater podcast platforms, because that's where we're available, on greater podcast platforms everywhere, please drop a review or a rating or something along those lines. If you have not found it there, you can always find us on the WPN Wrestling.com site, which has a 24-hour stream of matches and videos and interviews and whatnot dating back to 2013. 11 years. About to make 12. We have matches going back that far, featuring faces and names that you probably will recognize on shows even as far as WoW, and the WWE, and AEW, and Ring of Honor. All of that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our well, not the channel, but on our site. Also, if you aren't able to find the podcast drop there every week. There's every time I drop one, it goes there also. And of course, if you're on YouTube, which I found that, some of you rather listen to this on YouTube than not, like, share, subscribe, do the normal YouTube things. Your comments are very welcome. Lord Jack, thank you again for your email. I always appreciate it. I know I don't remember if I said it earlier, and I hope you heard this. But I appreciate you going to the show, and there's no need to apologize. I think I said this already, but I want to say it again. There's no need to apologize for not getting out to the studio to see these things. Hey, that you were at the Belasco and you gave me, your insight as you did, I appreciate and thank you for. Anybody that happens to be at the studios now and wants to chime in, feel free. I know some people have chimed in underneath. Also, comments on the matches that I've gotten directly to me. I appreciate those from a variety of you. And I enjoy the conversations about, who would you have picked and who, what match would you have had and why don't you like this person and so on and so forth. And I want to be clear, when I say I don't like this person, I'm talking about the persona that they play, not the person that they are. I don't know some of them personally, so I can't say I don't like them as a person. When I say I dislike Rebel Hayes, I dislike Rebel Hayes, not whatever her real name is. I don't know. So now I've gotten that all out of the way. Thanks again. Tune in next week, and hopefully the next episode will wow me and make me feel better about this product and lure me in and make me excited to see another one. Because I can't say this one last thing before we close it up. On some of the CW stations that's in the room with me, I have noticed that the WWE has started advertising through WoW. So, I should say the NXT has started being advertised through WoW, which is probably a logical thing for them to do. WoW should be doing it the other way around. They might not be able to afford it, I don't know, but because that's a primetime spot, and it probably costs a load of money just to run an ad through their airtime. But it will not shock me that NXT starts drawing whatever viewers that they have away, if they keep doing that. If they keep doing it. Now, as I was saying, in closing, thank you for tuning in, and this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we will see you on the next go-round. Thank you, and take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.